So, in the recent Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour, as many of you probably know, the return of a beloved anime arena fighting game series was announced in the trailer for Tenkaichi Budokai 4, or whatever they decide to name it in the end. The beloved series has been MIA for over a decade, but out of nowhere has returned, completely shocking not only Dragon Ball fans, but gaming fans around the world in its completely unexpected announcement. So since we basically know next to nothing about this game, I thought why don't we look back at previous Dragon Ball games to try to determine what the roster is going to be. In this video we're going to be determining how big the roster is going to be, as well as going through Dragon Ball chronologically to determine who will fit the bill to be in the game. The previous installment of the Budokai games was Tenkaichi Budokai 3, which released all the way back in the year 2007. Not only is that a heck of a lot of time in real life, especially a huge amount of time when it comes to the gaming industry. Making a game in the 2000s compared to now is completely different. The equipment you use, the platforms you use it on, the platforms it's made for, everything has changed so drastically. Another major effect this time differences had on the Budokai game going forward is that Budokai games previously only had access to characters from Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, as well as original characters. But now, since 2015 and the release of Dragon Ball Super, as well as 3 theatrical releases and an ongoing manga, which is yet to be confirmed for a returning anime renewal, but there's still so many characters from those movies and that run of Super to pull from for this game. So how exactly do we know that this game's going to have a roster that lives up to the old Budokai games and their massive rosters that they were known for? Well, the Dragon Ball official website put out a blog post after the initial reveal stating that the games are known for their massive rosters of characters. Do you think that the official Dragon Ball website would say something like this, knowing that this new game doesn't have a big roster of characters? Personally, I think this is confirmation that they also view this as an important part of the series. Budokai 3 had a total of 91 playable characters and 161 if you include different transformations / forms. This being said, it was the third in the franchise though, which meant it was much easier to develop than the first in the franchise. And Budokai 4 has to be considered the first in a new franchise since it's been such a long time between this and the last installment. Back then, games only took 1 to 3 years to develop and $50 million or less as well, while games these days take anywhere between 3 and 7 years and go over $100 million after marketing expenditures. So with all that context in mind, let's look at some recent examples. So firstly, let's look at Jump Force, which released a few years ago, which was a very disappointing game for a lot of people, which had 40 characters, but they're all pretty unique with the new special moves, movesets like movement, very unique characters. So 40 characters is a minimum, and 80 characters in Xenoverse 2, which was less unique in its characters and had a lot of copy-paste characters. So then I found a happy medium around 55 to 65 characters right in between that for our roster. So let's look at who is going to be in it. So starting off fittingly from the beginning with OG Dragon Ball, we're going to run through a character one at a time and then also say what their ultimate special move is going to be. So Kid Goku, his ultimate attack will be the punch he does through Demon King Piccolo off the ground with his one-armed Kamehameha. And then followed up by Kid Goku, we have Yamcha, and I think it's pretty obvious what his special move is going to be. It's going to be his Spirit Ball, obviously, not the Wolfang Fist. Wolfang Fist is what people usually would put as his special move, but I think the Spirit Ball is more of an ultimate attack for Yamcha. So then we have Bulma here, the first female character in the roster, and her ability will be the Dragon Radar, which I'll talk about more if we get into game mechanics. And then we have Master Roshi here, obviously the Turtle Hermit himself, and his special move will be the Mafuba, or the Evil Sealing Wave, whatever you want to call it. Then followed up with Krillin. He will be adult Krillin, but you know, that's where he fits in. He comes in Dragon Ball, so he also will be wielding the Spirit Bomb, followed by Launch and her RPG. She doesn't really do any key-based attacks, so an RPG is like the big part of her arsenal. Then followed by Tien fittingly, and his ultimate ability will be, I don't know if he calls it like the Tri-Beam, but the one-arm Tri-Beam essentially from the Saiyan Saga. Then followed with old Demon King Piccolo, who will be the first of now transforming characters who will use the Dragon Balls to wish to be young again. And then after he's young again, he'll have his ultimate attack being the one he used to destroy the city. If you guys play Dokkan, you know the one I'm talking about. Now we're getting on to the last Tenkaichi Budokai arc, and we have Chi-Chi there, and her ultimate ability will be the fan. I forget its name, but it's the fan. Moving on to the final climax fight of the Dragon Ball saga with my junior, and his ultimate attack will be Special Beam Cannon, but he will also have a giant transformation ability as well. So there is our start of our roster. All of the OG Dragon Ball characters there, filling up 10 character slots. Now with OG Dragon Ball covered, let's move on to the next series and the most famous series Dragon Ball is known for, Dragon Ball Z. This is where choosing characters gets really hard. So starting from the Saiyan saga, let's pick Raditz. Obviously the first conflict that emerges within Dragon Ball Z, Goku's brother, and his ability will be the double Sunday attack for his ultimate. Then onto Goku. Goku will also be a transforming character. He will have attacks mainly from his fight with my junior, but the reason it's included in Dragon Ball Z is because he'll have a transformation into Kaioken, which then his secondary ultimate will be his ×4 Kaioken Kamehameha he does against Vegeta. Then onto Kid Gohan. Kid Gohan will be from his fight with Nappa, but will also utilize moves from Namek, and his ultimate ability will be the Zaru Laser Beam from the Chala Head Chalai intro. It won't be a transformation, but just an attack. Now onto Nappa. Nappa will be obviously from his fight against older Z fighters, and he will be with the armor off, and his ultimate attack will be this giant blast that he does on the whole group near the latter portion of the fight. So then onto the big bad of the Saiyan saga, Vegeta. Vegeta will be using his Gallic Gun as his first ultimate move, and then his secondary one will be a transformation into Giant Ape. I couldn't find a PNG for breakers, so we have the white background on this, but it will be a Giant Ape attack, and he'll use attacks that he does against a Goku, such as the Mouth Beams. Now delving deeper into Z, we're onto the Planet Namek saga, or the Frieza saga, starting off with first form Pod Frieza, then transforming into second form Frieza, then transforming again into third form Frieza, and then lastly into full power Frieza. Skipping final form Frieza because we will be having him later on in the roster when it comes to Dragon Ball Super, and his main ultimate attack will be the Planet Killer or the Supernova, whatever wording you would prefer for that attack. Captain Ginyu. Captain Ginyu here will obviously have his iconic ability with the body switch. He will definitely be a meme character that people like to use. He actually won't interact with the Ginyu Force except for Jace in his moveset, because by the time he actually uses body switch, they're all dead, mostly. So then now onto Super Saiyan Goku. Super Saiyan Goku here will have the You Idiot attack as his ultimate ability that he does against full power Frieza. Now onto Trunks Teen from Z, and Trunks Teen will obviously transform into his Super Saiyan equivalent that he kills Mecha Frieza with, and his ultimate ability will be that where he slices through the screen and kills Frieza. Moving on now onto Vegeta, who will be Super Saiyan right out the gate, and he'll actually transform into Super Vegeta, and obviously his ultimate ability has to be the Final Flash. Next we have an antagonist of the arc with Android 17, and this will be from his fight with Piccolo fused with Kami, one of my favourite fights in the series personally, and his ultimate attack will be the thing that he does to kill future Gohan. Android 16 here, this will be from his fight with First Form Cell, and his self-destruct with Perfect Cell, and that self-destruct will be one of his ultimates, and the other one will be the Hellfire thing he does into the ground with First Form Cell. And then you have Piccolo fused with Kami here from his fight with Android 17. His ultimate will be the Light Grenade he does against Android 17 as well in that fight. And next up we have Super Saiyan Gohan, and Super Saiyan Gohan is also a transforming character. He goes from Super Saiyan to Super Saiyan 2, and his ultimate will obviously be the Father Son Kamehameha. Next we have First Form Cell, who's another multi-transformation character, goes all the way into second, and then into Cell Perfect Form in brackets, because Perfect Form Cell and Perfect Cell are technically two different forms. So Perfect Form Cell's ultimate will be a Kamehameha that he does directed at Earth, with a combo attack tying in with the Cell Juniors as well. So then Perfect Cell, not Perfect Form Cell, Perfect Cell, and his ultimate will be the Solar Kamehameha he does against Gohan's father-son Kamehameha. And then moving on now to the Majin Buu saga. So kicking off the Majin Buu saga, we have Videl. I thought for her ultimate she could actually have like an original attack that she does like a combo attack with Hercule. I thought it would be cool since Hercule isn't playable in my roster. Then next up we have Great Saiyaman. He's actually transforming and goes into Super Saiyan Great Saiyaman that he does when he's fighting against Barbady's minions and Dabura. And his ultimate will be a Masenko since he doesn't have another ultimate Masenko in any other portion of this game. Then we have Fat Buu or Majin Buu Good, whatever you want to classify him as. And his ultimate will be that giant shockwave he does against Majin Vegeta. Then Majin Vegeta here has to be the sacrifice of the final explosion. And then followed up by Super Saiyan Gotenks. Super Saiyan Gotenks is actually going to be a transforming character. And he's going to go from Super Saiyan 1 all the way to Super Saiyan 3. Not 2, because he actually doesn't go Super Saiyan 2 at all, I don't think, in canon. So Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, and his ultimate will be the Buu volleyball that he does with Piccolo, because I think that'll just be a cool animation to have in game. Then we have Super Buu here. Super Buu is actually a multi-transformation character as well. He goes into Buu Tanks, or Buu Absorbed, and then into Buu Han, or Gohan Absorbed Buu. His ultimate could either be that big pink orb that he uses, or the Ghost Kamehameha with all those mini versions of himself. Then onto Ultimate Gohan. Ultimate Gohan's ultimate ability could be like that teleporting like combo that he does, where he like smashes Buu Han into the ground. It doesn't actually have a name, I don't think. And then next we have Vegito, and then Vegito is transforming into Super Saiyan. And then his ultimate will be the Spirit Sword, or they could just use some animation inspiration from, was it Kakarot, which had an amazing original animation in there. Then on to Kid Buu. Kid Buu's ultimate is going to be the Planet Destroyer. Then a Super Saiyan 2 Goku is our last Dragon Ball Z edition, who goes into Super Saiyan 3, and his transformation could be that of his original transformation into Super Saiyan 3. And then he has an ultimate, obviously has to be the Super Spirit Bomb, to finish off the Z part of the roster. Now the Dragon Ball Z characters slotted in nicely into the roster, we move on to probably my most controversial picks of the video in Dragon Ball GT.
While we try to get our freedom, fighting deadly combat, I'm gonna always be so wrong. It's only
Our first pick of the very small GT roster will be Pan, who's the main character for a lot of GT, and her ultimate ability will actually be a combo attack with Goku GT, where he'll come in and they'll do a mixture of attacks from the Shadow Dragon saga as well as the intro. Moving on from Pan, we have Marjube, and his ultimate being the Thunder Arrow. It's like a tornado-esque attack that then charges up a big beam. And then we have Super Saiyan 4 Goku here, probably one of the more popular characters from GT in terms of design. So then we have him with the 10 times Kamehameha as his ultimate, but the red one, not the original blue one from Baby Saga. Speaking of Baby, we have Super Baby 1 as the next character, and he transforms into Super Baby 2. The Super Baby 1 on himself isn't too hype. Then he has, I think it's called the Black Energy Bowl. I could be wrong in that, but it's like a Spirit Bomb-esque attack, but it has like black lightning and stuff coming off of it. Then we have the Shadow Dragons, and they're going to act sort of like a Guinea Force character, and their ultimate will be a mixture of attacks combined like they do in the Dokkan Super Attack, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Now with the GT side of the roster complete, we can skip forward almost 2 decades to Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super being the most modern take on the Dragon Ball series and the continuation to the original series canonically, this will have the most new characters and the most hype coming behind it in terms of additions to the Budokai rosters. So first up we have Beerus, and the Beerus Bowl as his ultimate attack. It actually is called the Beerus Bowl for those who don't know, which is a ridiculous name for an attack, but whatever. We have Whis here, and his ultimate will be the Time Rewind. So I'm thinking more of like a support-like ultimate that maybe restores health and maybe some other aspects that buffing or nerfing the enemy. I thought that would be cool because Whis doesn't really have a big ultimate attack. God Goku here comes up next, and his ultimate attack, I actually found a gif of it right here, It's when he goes into Super Saiyan and Battle of the Gods, and he fires off, I think it's called the Limit Breaker Kamehameha, and that will be his ultimate. Then next up we have Final Form Frieza. He's finally here, no pun intended, from the Namek Saga, because we can have Final Form Frieza in the Namek Saga because this Final Form Frieza transforms into Golden Frieza, and his ultimate will be a mixture of death beams that he uses in the Tournament of Power arc. There's not going to be an Angel Golden Frieza because they're essentially the same character, just one has a little halo above his head, so it's just going to be Golden Frieza in this game. Yet another Goku comes next with Blue Goku. This Blue Goku is transforming, and I was thinking maybe it would be a time transformation since it is Kaioken. I think that could make him more interesting and stand out in the roster, maybe getting more damage and health than a regular character, but only for a limited amount of time. And his ultimate will be the punch that he does where he flies through his own Kamehameha against Hit in the U6 vs U7 tournament. Next up is Hit, but his ultimate will be the Time Cage from the Tournament of Power, which is different to what usually his special attack is, which is stuff from the Universe 6 vs 7 tournament, but I thought his Time Cage was a cool enough ability to fit as an ultimate. Now Goku Black has arrived, and he will also be transforming into Rose, his very iconic form from the series, and his ultimate will be the Black Kamehameha he does after he chases Goku up that building in probably the best animation sequence in early Super. Then we have a Blue Vegeta here, and his ultimate will be the Father-Son Gallic Gun, but without Trunks. So just the Gallic Gun, but it will be like the same animation from that arc, but just, by himself instead of with his son. Then we have Fusion Zamasu, who's transforming yet again, where he does his big ultimate attack where he punches Vegeta through a bunch of buildings and uses like air pressure attacks with his bigger arm. Very cool sequence as well in that arc. Then we have Trunks, where he has a Sword of Hope in-style super, so then he will fight for the rest of the battle with the Sword of Hope, rather than doing an attack with it, which I think is a cool little gimmick. Then we have Vegeta Blue up next. Vegeta Blue has the final Kamehameha as his ultimate attack. Then followed Vegeta Blue is 18, and the Android 18 from the Tournament of Power Saga. That's why she wasn't in the Android Saga as a character. And her ultimate attack will be that punch that she does right through Giant Reblian's torso, knocking her out of the Tournament of Power. Onto Jiren. Jiren being the main antagonist of the Tournament of Power. He's transforming, even though full power might not be as strong as his starting out form that he is at the beginning of the Tournament of Power. He'll transform nonetheless, and his ultimate attack will be the Heat Dome Magnetron, I think it's called. Very complicated name. But then we have Kefla next in Super Saiyan 2 straight off from the beginning, and her attack will be those red and green wheels that she combines into the one beam that UI Goku defeats her by grinding it and finishing her off with a Kamehameha. Then onto the final character of the base roster in UI Goku Sign, and then UI Goku Sign will awaken into Ultra Instinct, and then Ultra Instinct will have an ultimate being the Rage Punch that he does, where he goes, "I won't forgive you for hurting my friends." So there we have it, wrapping up there with the final look at the base roster as this slowly zooms out. You can say all the additions from OG Dragon Ball all the way to Dragon Ball Super. Obviously tons of glaring omissions, no Brolys, no Gogetas, no Bardock, a ton of other like newer characters like Orange Piccolo, Bass Gohan. But this is obviously, like I said at the beginning, this is predictions, not a want list, meaning that there's going to be tons of characters that Bandai say for DLC, and I'm willing to do another video on this talking about what DLC roadmaps might look like. But for now, this is the base roster. I worked really hard in this video, guys, so it would be much appreciated if you could leave a like. Let me know what you think you want for the roster, as well as what your predictions might be. What have I got wrong? What have I got right? Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.